Today on Joe's Geek Show, we're going to be talking about The Flash, issue 771. What's going on, and welcome to Joe's Geek Show, the video series where we talk comics. And if you're new and like to support the channel, you can do so by clicking that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and sharing. And with that, let's take a look at... Written by Jeremy Adams with art by Kevin McGuire, Howard Porter, Barrett Pegsmecki, Brian Hitch, Max Rayner, Scott Collins, Tom Derenick, Fernando Passarin, Auclair Albert, and Brendan Peterson. Colors by Michael Lete, and letters by Steve Wands. And this issue begins with Wally West occupying the body of Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, as he apparently killed Superman and is now being voted into the Legion of Doom. It's also explained that this time, Wally is not in the standard timeline and is actually within the Omniverse. However, Lex Luthor isn't keen on the idea of letting in the Reverse Flash and moves to dismiss his potential membership before it's revealed that Superman is not dead and is, in fact, the conduit that Wally needs to siphon. This leads to a confrontation between him and Superman when Lex crashes through the base with his own ship and Wally is sucked into the vacuum of space, but uses his phasing powers to get aboard Lex's ship. He then gets Lex Luthor to help him blast Superman with a depowering ray after slapping him into submission. The ray works and Wally is pulled from Thawne's body before Lex strikes him. Back with Barry, Oliver, and Michael, Wally's wife Linda Park calls them, in which Michael breaks the news to her and he receives a threat from her, prompting him to warn the others. The book's pace then picks up as Wally transitions through several points in time, fixing the anomalies, when Barry figures out the problem with the Speed Force is internal rather than external, with Michael concluding a tachyon surge will help fix the issue. We then return to Wally, who is now occupying the body of his son Jay and sitting in front of his daughter Irie. They have a brief conversation when he learns that both his kids are superheroes despite him not wanting that for them, and that he indeed does not retire. She then leads him into the Speed Force space and tells him that this next part will be hard, but that he will persevere. Wally is then transported one more time, realizing he is once again back in the events of Heroes in Crisis. So this is another issue that had a bit of a push-pull issue going on with the positives and the negatives, but of course, which one outweighs the other? Well, let's start with the positives. For one, the stuff with the Legion of Doom, which apparently actually was the Super Friends. I know in the last video I said that it looks like the Super Friends, but it's probably not the Super Friends, but now it looks like it actually is the Super Friends. But regardless, this was actually fairly entertaining. From Wally getting the Legion of Doom to turn on Lex by telling everyone, yeah, Luthor's probably got files on all of your weaknesses and such, all the way to Lex talking to the Riddler saying, you don't even say riddles, you just make observations. See, I can do it too. And then the Riddler is just completely flabbergasted. I have a feeling if we saw the Riddler again a few panels later, he'd be having some kind of existential crisis. And when Wally was slapping Lex multiple times to get him to comply with his directions and blasting Superman, it did give me a good laugh. The phone call between Michael, aka Mr. Terrific, and Linda was also pretty funny, with him telling her that, hey, your husband has just lost out in the time stream somewhere, and we have no idea how to get him back, but we're working on it. And she tells him something of which we don't know exactly what she said, but we can kind of make some assumptions based on his reaction, because after he puts the phone down, he's like, yeah, we need to speed this up. Otherwise, we are all in danger, because I can just imagine Linda on the other end of that phone getting this information thinking, no, I just got my husband back, you better fix this. Probably the best moment in the issue overall was the scene where Wally got to sit down with his daughter, albeit in the body of his own son, and get a glimpse at her future, one where she's married and happy and is also a superhero along with Jay, even though that's not really what he wanted for his kids. So, a few moments which prompted some laughter, and a nice heartwarming scene. Now let's break into the stuff I didn't care for. For starters, knowing that Wally traversed the Omniverse in this issue raises a lot of questions. Such as, if this was a possibility, why did all of the other anomalies, at least seemingly, take place within one timeline? Because if this one instance spread out through the Omniverse, I think it stands to reason that a lot of the other anomalies and power surges would also have occurred throughout the Omniverse. Which then makes me wonder, were some of the instances I saw in this book maybe within the Omniverse, like where he had taken over Max Mercury for a panel? And although I did enjoy the call with Linda, I'm also a little disheartened that Linda herself doesn't really play a bigger part in the story. Oh, and why is Barry even keeping it from Linda in the first place? She recently just got her family back together, and now her husband is lost once more. Especially because she knows her husband is one of the Flashes. This isn't something I think he should have kept from her. I mean, what was Barry gonna do? Keep Linda in the dark for days, weeks, or possibly months that she's worried sick at where her husband could be? Kind of a dick move. And let's go back to the body hopping stuff. Because before we were taking our time, and for better or worse, we were experiencing what Wally was experiencing. But now here we are in what is effectively the fourth quarter of the game with a few minutes left on the clock, and we're trying to rush that ball to the end zone as quick as possible. And it's a shame because there are some instances in here that I would like to know more about. Like in one panel, it looks like Wally is possessing a former version of himself. I think this is one of those things that could have a significant impact on the plot if we took enough time to get more information. For example, how would a post-Heroes in Crisis Wally West react to a pre-Heroes in Crisis world, and also inhabiting a version of himself when he was at his best? I can imagine this would have a significant psychological impact on him, in which he might actually have the idea to attempt to avert the Heroes in Crisis situation, maybe with some kind of warning or message to himself once he departs that particular body. But then comes to the realization that he can't be messing with time in that way, lest something catastrophic happens like a flashpoint. Which brings me to my next point of us now having two instances within this particular story arc where Wally has been told that he will not retire. I had issues with it the first time it came up, and I have issues with it now. Because Wally is being told that he's not going to retire when he's still very much in the mindset that he wants to retire. It's coming across as less of a choice on his part and more that his will is being bent to that of the Speed Force. Because I guess Wally West is even the Speed Force's favorite Flash. So once he does get back to his time, what's to stop him from making changes to ensure that he gives the life to his kids that he thinks they should have? Because despite the interaction with his daughter, he was still clearly not happy about them being superheroes. And I think phrases like this detract from what the writer should really be focusing on. And that's giving Wally a good character story that reminds him why being the Flash is important. Much like my earlier example of wanting to know more information about the time Wally possessed one of his earlier incarnations, I think the story should have focused a lot on those kinds of moments where Wally is actually just bouncing between different versions of himself, reliving his best moments, which will reignite his passion for wanting to be a superhero. In essence, having him choose not to retire rather than being told he's not going to retire. And although I think he will make this decision, I'm worried that it's going to be more of a compression of a 6-issue long arc into just a few pages, and will come off as a more manufactured result rather than an organic one. Which in turn leads me to worry that it's going to lack the necessary impact for me to care about Wally wanting to be the Flash. And it just overall is a shame because I can see what could have been a very interesting story. And when it comes to the art, because there's a lot of different body hopping sequences and the art changes every single time Wally does inhabit a new body, a lot of artists lent themselves to this issue. So we have varying styles of quality going on here. But for the most part, I will say, I think it's fine. Some are obviously better than others, but it's hard for me to say that any of them were truly bad. With the only one I didn't really care for within the Wally segments, I'll say, would be the one with him and his daughter. Because to a degree, it does kind of look like a sort of like early to mid 90s Power Rangers styled comic where they're trying to do maybe some likeness as if they were modeling them off real people, but since these aren't real people and they were comic characters in the first place, they're trying to do comic characters as if they were real, but in a more animated fashion. It's kind of hard to explain. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's what I got from it. I would say the biggest offenders come from the Barry segments, as once again there's some odd shadow and angle choices that oftentimes look very unflattering and would actually look probably better in a horror comic, especially this one panel. Yikes. So to summarize, I think that there is some potential in the story, but I'm worried that too many issues have passed for the ending to really have the impact I think it wants. So I'll be going into the 2021 annual with some reservations. Also, Green Arrow is still useless in the story. Why is he here? And with that, I'm going to score The Flash, issue 771, a 5 out of 10. So The Flash, issue 771, what did you think about this book? If you've read it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you like this video, I'd love it if you'd smash that like button, share it with some friends, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and ring that notification bell for more comic book content. And if you're wondering what to watch next, consider one of these 2 videos. Alright, take care, have a great day, and as always, stay geeky.